Hi everybody, this is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center at the World Championships in Rome. We're in the middle of day 3. I'm here with Ben Stark. We're smack in the middle of the extended rounds, and we're here to talk about one of the decks that I think a lot of people are overlooking when they're talking about the extended metagame, which is the Valakut deck or the Scapeshift deck. So this is a deck you have a lot of familiarity with. You're playing with it here today. You played with it in Austin. Why don't you tell people how this deck works and what makes it something attractive to you?
Well, I think it's almost one of the first one-card combos in the history of Magic. You just cast the card Scapeshift with 7 lands in play, and you can search up a Valakut and 6 mountains, and they take 18. Non-basic mountains work, so it's not like you have to play a red deck. You get to play all the blue cards that work well in a combo-style deck. Remand, Repeal, Peer Through the Depths, Cryptic Commands, and you just search up Steam Vents, Stomping Grounds, and Valakut, and there's 1 mountain to fetch with Tribe Elder or Harrow in case you need it for Firespout. It's a very powerful deck. It's really easy to win on turn 4 or 5, which isn't overly fast, but it's fast enough when you consider you've put out a lot of chump blockers with Coiling Oracle, Sakura-Tribe Elder, or Wood Elves. You even have Repeal to buy time, Cryptic to tap their guys and draw if necessary. It's a little susceptible to counters. You don't really want to face any blue decks, but there's Negates in the sideboard to allow you to have Remand or Negate as backup when you're trying to go off.
But in a field full of decks like Zoo and Dark Depths and whatnot, you feel like this is a deck that people don't have a lot of answers to.
Zoo is practically a buy. I mean, it's the most Zoo is the most popular deck in Extended, like hands down right now, and I mean, you almost can't lose. You just pile out chump blockers that fetch you lands, and then you play your card and you win.
So Coiling Oracle, for example, you just put that guy out, hopefully you hit a land.
And if you hit a spell, fine. Repeal your guy, play a Tribe Elder, play a Wood Elves, Remand something, Firespout along the way. And Firespout is mostly in case they play Meddling Major, Gaddock Teague, or something like that would actually stop you. You wouldn't even need it just to kill Noctils and Curdapes, even though it does that quite well. But yeah, Zoo is practically a buy. Against Dredge, you have a lot of cards to stall them. You have Tribe Elder, which is obviously a major pain for them, and then you have Remand.
Right. Sakura-Tribe Elder is a card a lot of people haven't talked about. Under the new rules changes, not as good as it used to be, right?
Sure.
You can't block, sack with damage on the stack, but against a bridge from the below.
Yeah, it doesn't stop a team of 2/1s anymore, but you don't really need to since you're a combo deck anyway. Just chump block your Noctil and get a land is more than good enough, and against bridge from below, it completely fizzles what their deck does.
Right. They
can win again the next turn, but you're playing you're not playing a blue control deck, you're playing a combo deck. So the turn you buy yourself with that is going to be good enough. You wait until turn 4 or so when they would normally win, you sack it, you fizzle them. You have Remand to counter Dread from return, and that buys you time also, even if they get a couple of 2/2s. Tap everything, buys you a turn. Like, it's a pretty good matchup. Dark Depths isn't nearly as good of a matchup because they have some disruption. Muddle is really annoying because it counters your combo.
Sure.
And you do have Repeal, though, to bounce their 20/20, which if you do that once, you're almost certainly going to win the game. So that matchup has a lot of play back and forth.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your sideboard. What are you bringing in Threads of Disloyalty for?
Zoo. To steal pretty much every creature in Zoo is just better than to kill it, so you might as well take it. And it's also good against like Dark Confidence, like in the Dark Depths matchup. A lot of times after sideboard in a matchup like that, there'll be so much hate from both decks that no one will really be able to go off. And something like them playing Confident and you stealing it will just be enormous,
So Engineered Explosives?
It's a catch-all. It's a one-of just to be a different card in case they Meddling Mage Firespout. It's mostly for Zoo, to kill Chalices if they're not, set to the number that would stop it. To kill just a lot of, problem cards for the deck if they're out.
I guess these are Remands 5 through 7?
Rure. Any blue deck, you board them in against Hypergenesis. They time walk basically. And, Hypergenesis is definitely a lot faster than you. But, you Remand and Negate once, suddenly you're going off. So that's what they're for.
We saw Brian Kibler bring in Ghost Quarters against Hypergenesis. Is that what they're here for you for as well?
They are for Hypergenesis, but obviously more for Dark Depths. I mean, you're always going to bring them in against, a 4 or 5 color combo deck. But yeah, primarily Dark Depths and also Hypergenesis.
Okay. Ravenous Trap, pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty self-explanatory. Any Gifts Loam decks, the Thopter Foundry Gift stack, or the Dredge deck, of course.
And is Fracturing Gust, I assume, is for Affinity?
Fracturing Gust is for Affinity, but it's also really good against the Thopter Foundry combo decks. Even if they get going for a couple turns, at the end of their turn, when they have make guys, you're going to blow up, their Thopter Foundry, their sword, any artifact lands that they play, Chrome Moxes, plus all the tokens and gain 35. And they're going to be able to reset themselves with Academy Runes, but that's slow. Then they have to put the Thopter back on, draw it again, play it again, start playing sword again, and you're at 38. Right. And then hopefully you can just go off it.
Right. all you're looking to do with this deck is buy yourself turns to get to critical mass of lands and the one-card combo.
Exactly. I mean, considering all you have to do to win is cast a one-card combo, the backside is you have to have about 7 to 8 lands. So if you can stall the game, gain life, destroy them, disrupt them, you're going to win.
Now, one of the things I was struck by, you talked about this deck, while it's a one-card combo, you referred to it as being an extraordinarily complex deck to play.
Yeah, well, as you can see from the card selection, like, it's not going to be obvious what to do every turn. You have a lot of choices. Like, on turn 2, do you play Tribe Elder or Coiling Oracle? I mean, you don't know if you're going to hit the land or not, but there are decks where it's going to be better to guaranteed get a land. There are going to be decks where it's better to, you know, put the land and play off the top and have a blocker for their 2/1. Or, you know, to draw a card and have a blocker for their 2/1. You know, like, it's not going to be automatically right in your head whether it's better to chump block their 2/1 and get a land, or to play this and maybe hit the land, or maybe have to, like, hit a spell and not get a third land in play. As well as, like, you have Harrow, so, like, a lot of turns are, like, do you cast Wood Elves and search up a land? Do you pass a turn in Harrow and then have Remand or Repeal or Peer Through the Depths? And it is very intricate. It's not like when you play a beatdown deck and you just want to figure out what's going to do the most damage every turn and doesn't overcommit you. You really have to, like, envision the whole game, like a couple of turns ahead, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns ahead. So you definitely should practice this deck before you play it.
And you like this deck for next year's Extended GPs?
Love this deck. I mean, I honestly think it's the best deck in Extended. I mean, it's very hard to disrupt. All the graveyard hate doesn't affect it. All the Dredge hate, the Dark Depths hate, Repeals, Path to the Exiles, Ravenous Traps, Tormund's Crypts, none of those cards do anything against you. And Blood Moon is very manageable. It shuts off Valakut, but, like, there's plenty of basics in the deck, so all you have to do is repeal it the turn before you win. Virtually, like, nothing is going to just shut you down or shut you out of the game.
Excellent. So now next year we're going into the 2010 season. What shape are you in terms of the Players Club?
I've got 14 points coming into here. I'm 8-8, so more than likely I'll finish with 3 or 4 points from here. So I'll be level 3. I'm not queued for San Diego yet, but I have 1 Pro Tour qualifier left in Florida. So if I don't queue there, I'll be level 3. I'll be using the invite to go to San Diego, hopefully having a good year.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing you on the Pro Tour all next year.
I appreciate it. I'm not planning on quitting again. So.
Excellent. Good news for everyone. Signing off for Ben Stark, this is Brian David Marshall from the Tournament Center at the World Championships in Rome.